What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So it looks like Lucas the Machine Matthysse just recently got some good work with Timothy Bradley, vice versa. This is great news for the sport of boxing. Both of them have big fights coming up. Lucas Matthysse, of course, is fighting on the huge Canelo Mayweather undercard. He's fighting against Danny Garcia, the current title holder, titleist with most of the belts, all the belts. Um, Timothy Bradley is coming off of a tough fight with Ruslan Provatnikov, and he's going up against a legend, Mexican legend, American legend, boxing legend, Juan Manuel Marquez, and I think this is going to be a great fight. Both of them, I think they're great fights. Um, that's what I love about the sport of boxing, to be honest. Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matthysse just seems like a barn burner. Like it's going to be fireworks all across the board. I'd be surprised if nobody gets hurt. I wouldn't be surprised if both fighters got hurt in that fight. It's that type of affair. It's like Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee, Return of the Dragon. I mean, it's just a fight that we all want to see. It's a good matchup. And how many of you guys have seen Return of the Dragon when Bruce Lee ripped off Chuck Norris's chest hair and then blew it off of his hand? Anyway, then you have Marquez versus Bradley, another excellent fight. This is more of a chess match, a thinking man's game. So again, that's what I love about the sport of boxing. There's all different styles of matchups. Um, Stylistically, I think with both of these matchups, you can't go wrong. Some people would favor the more all-out war, Lucas Matthysse versus Danny Garcia affair, or at least what I think will happen in that fight. And then other people, purists, will like the Marquez versus Bradley, where if someone does get knocked out, it's because they were set up for a trap or countered, or it was more of a thinking man's game. It was set up, um, so to speak. So great fight, Lucas Matthysse versus Timothy Bradley sparring. Again, that's good work for both fighters. Matthysse fighting a very good thinker in the ring. Timothy Bradley is underrated for his ring IQ and ring intelligence. He knows how to navigate around that ring. He's undefeated. He finds a way to win. I thought he was done for in his last fight. The first two rounds I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way he can withstand this type of firepower. And he's like hurt. I mean, he had no legs, and somehow, some way, he dug down deep and through the middle rounds, except for round six, I think, he won and he outboxed the shit out of Ruslan Provatnikov, and he took advantage of Ruslan Provatnikov seeming to fatigue or gas out. He exerted so much energy trying to get Bradley out of there, and it didn't work, and he didn't have a real plan B. And then he got desperate again in the later rounds, like round 12. He applied the pressure and knew that he was down because a cut opened up, and he was probably down on the scorecards because the only action that he really had were the first two rounds and six rounds. And he looked good in the 12th round as well. So Bradley's coming off of it's a win, but it was a hard fought win, a grueling win, if you will. And he says in an interview that sparring with Lucas Matthysse helped his confidence because I don't care who you are in the sport of boxing, these guys are all human. Lucas Matthysse, Gennady Golovkin, Mike Tyson, all these guys are human. Everybody can be beat. It's just a matter of if that opponent that's in front of them has the tools or uses the tools when necessary to beat their opponent. But with Timothy Bradley, Floyd Mayweather, Tyson, Gennady Golovkin, whoever it is, Canelo, nobody's invincible. Anyone can be beat. But I don't care who you are. If you fight a fight like Timothy Bradley and or get knocked out, it's going to affect your conscience. It's going to affect your confidence in some way. Other people can take that L and they could take that loss and get knocked out and come back strong with firepower and prove that this doesn't define them. And then other people have a tougher time, like Roy Jones Jr., who hadn't lost in like since the late '80s, and he lost in the mid 2000s, I think, to Antonio Tarver. He got knocked out, TKO'd, and then he lost his very next fight. So some people don't bounce back from that, or once they get knocked out or take a beating like Bradley did in the Ruslan Provatnikov fight and get banged up, it affects your confidence. Like I said, these people are human, and Bradley, he fought a tough competitor in a tough fight. And the great General Patton once said this: I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but how high he bounces when he hits bottom. And again, that's going to be a testament of that individual. Like LeBron James, he went up against the Dallas Mavericks his first year with Miami Heat. They didn't have everything in sync. Everything wasn't in unison. They didn't really know who the go-to guy was. Dwayne Wade, was it LeBron James? And he failed that task. A lot of people were clowning LeBron James, saying he can't go past the third quarter. He has no fourth quarter. He doesn't have the Mike Jordan clutch gene. He can't finish games. He's not a good finisher. And he was getting slandered and just really crucified in the media about his performance, his fourth quarter performances, namely, and his inability to win that championship. They thought, hey, you're going over with the Miami Heat, an already established powerhouse, and all the talent you bring, you guys should easily win the ship. And he went against the Dallas Mavericks, and they were victorious. They won. They won that series, and then they went on to win the title. So LeBron James, it had to affect his confidence. Reading all those reports and everything, what he did is he came back stronger. In the very next year and the following year, he won his championships just because he came back with that vendetta. He was really focused. He was taking it serious during practice. And then the rest is history. He just came back with a vengeance and did what he had to do. And he's won 2 consecutive championships since then. So he was able to take that negative vitriol from the media, from the fans, and everything that he read about his inability to win against the Mavericks in that series in the playoffs, and he was able to use it, or in the finals, excuse me, and he was able to use that in a constructive manner to better himself. So every boxer has that ability as well. Some people bounce back better. So guys like Pacquiao, Abner Mars, we'll see how they bounce back from tough losses. And that's what I love about the sport of boxing. I can't say it enough. That's one of the things I really love, because there's so many underdogs, there's comeback stories, all kinds of stuff like that. It's just a matter of that individual and how do they rise to the occasion, or as General Patton suggests, how do they bounce when they hit the bottom? How do they look? How do they come back? What's their mentality? How do they get their confidence back? That kind of thing. So he said fighting Lucas Matthysse in sparring was great for his confidence. He was in there against a hard puncher. He said he took a hard punch and he took it well. So that definitely enhances his confidence coming from Timothy Bradley. That's what he was saying. And then for Lucas Matthysse, he's in there against another fighter who is not necessarily like Bradley, but I think he's underrated for some of the skills he does possess. Does he throw wide looping punches that you can telegraph a little bit more than certain fighters like Rigondeaux, who just slip the punches and they're very sneaky. You don't always see the shots coming. Yes, but I think Danny Garcia is underrated for his counterpunching ability and also his just overall brains and ring intelligence. He knows how to fight. He's been fighting for some time, and it seems second nature to him. So this is great sparring. This is good work for both fighters, Matthysse and Lucas Matthysse and Bradley. I would have loved to have seen the sparring just to see how it went down. That also goes to show you that Lucas Matthysse has respectable power, because Bradley's fighting at 147 and Lucas Matthysse at 140, and Bradley saying he got good work and took some hard shots from Lucas Matthysse. So obviously the guy can move up. He has power. That seems like it'll transition even in a higher division like 147. So good for Timothy Bradley. I'm glad that he's getting his confidence back and getting good work, good sparring, because he's going to need it against Marquez, who's a seasoned thinker in the ring, and both of them have tough fights. It also makes Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia, to me, more intriguing, because now I'm like, fuck, I'm already on the fence about who will win that fight, because I think both fighters have a shot and both fighters have strong attributes and they both have flaws, basically pros and cons. And now that I know Lucas Matthysse has power and he's getting good work with sparring, getting experience with people like Timothy Bradley, it's making that fight even harder to call. So I don't even know when I'm going to do my prediction video for Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia, because it keeps getting harder and harder. And I'm also seeing interviews with both fighters talking, and they're both talking a good game about what's going to happen. I'm all over the place with the prediction, so excuse me. I'll have it out before September 14th, and you just have to bear with me on this one. But this is a really hard fight to call. Normally the fights aren't this hard to call. I usually am leaning towards someone, but we've had some good boxing in 2013. Great matchups, very hard to call. And both fighters have a shot, which is always good in the sport of boxing. That's really it. Timothy Bradley versus Lucas Matthysse. They just sparred. It was a good session from everything that I read and heard. So we'll see how both fighters look in their respective fights. Let me know what you guys think. Lucas Matthysse versus Danny Garcia, who wins that one? Timothy Bradley versus Marquez, who wins that fight? Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys thought of this topic. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.